piece of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do. You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Happy Thursday, moviegoers. Welcome all film fans. Welcome to a new bonus series of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. I am your host, Juan, and I'm joined by the crew, the cast. Edward.
What's up, folks?
And also join debut, Ernie. E-Rod. Rod, how are you doing, man?
Good.
What a Thursday. For those of
Man,
you
we
that
got the
don't
rod
know,
and the reel here, you know?
the Rod,
It's
the
fishing
real
show.
If
There you go.
that's not what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. But guys, it's awesome to sit here and talk to you guys. I honestly wasn't I wasn't thinking about doing another bonus series. A24 month completely threw me up, spit me out, chewed me up, and just had its way with me. But it's a new fresh face, new fresh content, brand new stuff to talk about.
Something different.
It's really
Oh,
something
yeah.
different. You know, this is the first time in its 4-year history that we've ever talked about anything anime.
Yep.
So,
Oh man, that's
yeah.
took too long. We took too long.
Honestly, it's a good one to start off on, too. It really is. I've got to say, like, this one impressed me. So
I
yeah.
know, right?
Yeah.
And we're fixing to jump into it.
So, if you guys have not joined us for a bonus episode, it's real simple. They're nice. They're fun conversations. No ads, segment free, sponsor free. So it's just like a one night stand. You get in, you get out, you leave $5 on the corner of the bed, and then you have your way with the conversations. But
You paid?
before I let these two gentlemen have their way with this conversation about Tokyo Revengers, you can hit us up on the facebook.com/the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The
Mhm.
Instagram is all one word, Cine-Men Movie Podcast. Hit us up on the Twitter at Cine-Men405. But the easiest and fastest way to get a hold of us is email. Hit us up on the email. We share an email bag segment every single Monday, CINEMEN921 at gmail.com. We have giveaways, girthy giveaways, digital copy giveaways. So check us out on any one of these social media sites, and you guys can get ready to get into the conversation. Before I just turn it over, though, Ernie, we have known each other. Same thing with Ed. We have known each other for a long, long time. So this is more of like an introduction episode. There's no way really. There's really no way we can talk about a complete entire season of TV or anime in a 45-minute episode. So you can't go through a single every single episode.
Right.
So let's just introduce you to the listeners, the viewers. This episode is live on Imasawa Productions YouTube channel right now, Thursday, 7:30 p.m. But for our heavy listeners is through downloading Spotify, Anchor, Podbean, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. So for everybody out there listening, this episode is going to drop audio-wise Friday night, Saturday morning this weekend, Labor Day weekend. So Ernie, kind of just introduce yourself, and you have talked to me in the past about wanting to get on, but what is it about anime? Yeah, what is it about anime that you just you kind of seem a little passionate about, and
Man, so it's and I'm pretty sure EJ's he's gonna be like, yeah, of course, already, it's very, very inspiring. It's how do I say this? It's not like your traditional sitcom, what you kind of it's about everyday life. The anime, they not only are they very inspirational, but they hit at home.
Yeah.
They hit at home with several topics.
So, I mean, you have so much
character building, the character building.
I mean, don't get me wrong. You've got an anime like Dragon Ball that's been around since what, 83. You've got Naruto that came in hardcore and strong back in early 02 or something like that.
Early 02, 03, yeah.
Like one of my favorites when I was a kid is Yu Yu Hakusho back in the early and mid 90s for that matter, man. Love that one still by this time. You also have, I mean, you've got Gundam way back in the day, you know.
Yeah.
All
People
kinds
forget
of
about
stuff.
Gundam.
All kinds of stuff. There's like 16 of them. They're like the Power Rangers now.
Yeah.
There's like 16 different ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, with this one, man, Tokyo Revengers. This is a ride. It's a ride for sure. Literally.
It's very it's man, it's how do I say it? For being like a action packed DBZ, Naruto, a Attack on Titan, you know,
Yeah.
the new
Huge
stuff, you
one.
know, it's got nothing like fantasy, no power ups, no really.
Straight up hands. Like
That's
that's
what it
it.
is. That's what
Like,
it is. And
you know.
you would think really like, oh, if you briefly tell somebody about what Tokyo Revengers is about, it's gonna be like, they're not gonna seem too interested.
Like there's no power ups, there's no powers, there's no
There,
like this guy doesn't have the finger, you know, he doesn't
no,
have
no spirit gun,
none.
no nothing,
You know, so yeah, it is. You know, there's no ninjutsu with all that good
nothing,
stuff.
nothing.
It's
It's
just
all
straight
just
up hands.
yeah, straight up hands. The only thing that sci-fi it's got going on about it is the time traveling.
Yep, yeah,
The
and
time
that's the
traveling.
big difference of it all. It literally just has that one thing that's kind of different than really any other anime out there. And I mean,
Hmm, hmm.
well, that and the other reason that he cries a ton,
Oh
a
yes,
ton.
yes.
Like he's
It's
called the Crybaby song is the intro, literally. You know,
yeah.
which is
And
weird
it's
but
kind of
cool.
tough. It's kind of
Yeah,
tough to get used to in the beginning because it's something you're not used to. It's
yeah.
something you're not really used to watching. You know, the main character doesn't get his ass kicked as much as this anime. Any other anime, you know, they're kicking ass. You're
Oh yeah.
rooting. You're in
It's
it.
either one or the other.
Right.
It's no in between. You're either the dominant or you're like trying to work up and it's so hardcore to work up. It's one of the two. And he kind of is the work up kind of person
Hmm,
just
hmm.
because like seems like a wimp. You know, I mean, first episode you come out and dude's almost getting ran over by a freaking train. You
Yeah,
know, and
yeah,
he's
yeah.
like, well, I,
Well,
I died.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And for those of you who don't know, well, that main character is
Hanagaki.
Takamichi Hanagaki.
And so, with the plot summary, it says Takamichi Hanagaki's life is at an all time low. Just when he thought it couldn't get any worse, he finds out that Hinata Tachibana, his ex girlfriend, was just murdered by the Tokyo Manji Gang, a group of vicious criminals that has been disturbing society's peace for quite some time. Wondering where it all went wrong, Takamichi suddenly finds himself traveling through time, ending up 12 years in the past. When he was still in a relationship with Hinata, realizing he has a chance to save her, Takamichi resolves to infiltrating the Tokyo Manji gang and climb the ranks in order to rewrite the future and save Hinata from her tragic fate. So I mean, so the writer, Ken Wakui.
Makuri.
I was about to say I might be saying that wrong. um, you've got that. You've got the opening thing, "Crybaby" by Hige Dandism. The ending theme is, and I could be murdering this till the day I die. Koko di Iki Woshite by Isle. Eel.
Hmm.
Episodes 2 through 12. Tokyo Wonder is by Nekimushi. Episodes 13 through 23. Those are the ending titles and the opening themes. And so, I mean, running off of the main, say, six, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh, Takamichi Hanagaki, Hinata Tachibana,
Right.
Naoto Tachibana.
Which is a
Then,
brother.
yes, you've got Ken
Ryuguki.
Ryuji, yes, Ryuguki, and then Keisuke Bati. You know, um, So, okay, I never really heard of this, man.
No,
I didn't know what it was when Juan came up and was like, "Hey, watch this," and I'm just like, "Okay,
you're
where do I get
blown
it on?" He's
away.
like, "HBO Max." I was like, "All right, yeah, no, for sure on that, dude." I think I smashed like 10 episodes within 2 days, legitly.
And but it was because you couldn't stop. It was not necessarily because
It was the storyline, man. This story is amazing. It's
I
just
know,
like an Attack on Titan kind of thing,
right?
but without all the gore and blood and violence. Well, it's got some gore and blood, but without all that
With
gore and
all
violence.
right, with all the action-packed stuff, you know.
So, where did you find this, or when did you
So
first started like watching it?
so you know, I'm gonna go back to like a couple years ago.
Okay,
I'm a huge Naruto fan. I
yeah,
was stuck on Naruto, just watching rerun after rerun, and I started branching off. You know, one anime at a time. Which
yeah,
from Naruto, I went to, of course, Attack on Titan. You can't miss that. Um,
yeah.
then you have Jujutsu Kaisen.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Okay, that's another big one that's out
yeah,
there. And then you got others like Black Clover,
yeah.
and then others like Castlevania. That's another one, and
That's a huge one right now.
that's a good one.
Yeah,
Um, and then I got to the point where I was streaming, browsing HBO Max, and I saw, Tokyo Revengers, and I kind of, you see the cover, it's a bunch of dudes just standing up, you
yeah.
know, kind of, it
kind of.
almost looks like a boy band in a
Yeah, yeah,
way.
yeah.
It
I
does
thought the same
because
thing.
they all have uniform. So obviously, you kind of read the header to episode one, and it's, you know, Takamichi Hanagaki going back in time to save his girl.
Yeah.
Whatever. Let's give it a shot. And after watching episode one and watching episode two, I'm not gonna lie, I came
Mhm.
very close
To
um,
just.
to dropping it because
Yep.
I wasn't used to seeing somebody get their ass kicked like bad,
In the
like
future and the
bad.
past.
Yeah, like yeah. He's just he's your main character. He's the guy of the anime, and he's just being rammed and dragged through the mud, you know.
Dude, seriously,
And the
honestly.
crying, you touched on it earlier. The crying. He did cry a lot.
That
I'm
was
talking
the
about a
weirdest
lot.
part. Yeah, yeah, because literally, like, I mean, first episode, he's crying when he gets back because he's like, she's alive, and then when he actually gets to see her, he's crying, and I mean, like, it's like 5 or 6 times in the first episode.
Oh yeah,
His crying is kind of like Naruto's "believe it," kind of
yeah.
thing. It
Oh
was
yeah.
just like, why?
So, you know, after the second episode, I said, "Hell, I'm gonna stick with it." This is different. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a point, like there always is. You know, and if I've told myself the fourth episode comes around and I'm not into it, then I'm not into it.
Simple,
But
easy.
but that's when you get used to him getting his ass kicked. He's
Yep.
crying. Oh well, it doesn't really bother you as much by then. Um, and you start realizing that the Tokyo Manji gang is in reality, in our real life, it's like the Yakuza.
Yeah.
It's what it is. It's pretty much like a semi story reflecting of the Yakuza,
Yep.
which is also in Japan, And
So
man, after that third episode, it kind of just the ending of each episode ended with like a hook,
it's
line, and sinker, and you're
yep.
hooked.
Yep. Yep.
You know,
Honestly. Because literally, I was searching up a little bit and basically found out that he was in a gang back in like the early 2000s. And so, kind of funny, like, I like to do a little bit of digging, I mean,
hmm
like Akira Toriyama,
hmm
why did he start, Dragon Ball?
hmm
You go back to the Sun Waguko over that story for that matter, Journey to the West.
right.
Here, apparently, it's an exaggeration, but a little bit of influence by his actual life when he was,
Oh
I
wow.
guess,
See,
in a gang
I did not know that.
from like 2000, 2003, 2004. And this one, he started getting to write in 05. He didn't start writing this in 05, but he started writing his animes back in '05, and honestly, some of it's pretty cool because I think this is his second main series. If I'm not mistaken, at least there could
I
be a
believe
few
you're. Yeah, I
more.
believe you're right. He's got another. He's got some
Uh,
other stuff he's worked on.
he's got the biggest other notable is Shinjuki Swan, for
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
matter. So, really, really cool stuff right there. It's a lot of, you can kind of see the similar detail in artistry, for that matter, in both of them, for whatever that is, as extras, I guess you could say. Uh, but man, so a big part of this is essentially kind of like you were saying, they're a biker gang, is
Yeah,
what they
yeah,
start out on. And not only that, but the leader of the biker gang starts out on a moped, pretty much.
yeah, yeah,
And they're
yeah,
all like, dude, we got to get him hooked up. Like,
yeah.
we can't have one of the baddest dudes in Tokyo riding a freaking moped. We need to get him hooked
And
up.
that's the reason why he wrote a moped, because
Hmm.
nobody was gonna tell him shit.
Exactly. And I mean, that's the thing. Like, you go around this gang, and it's kind of a crazy little thing. But I mean, you've got Menjiro Sano, you've
Yeah,
got
for those
Kinryu.
yeah, for those of you that don't know that who we're speaking of right now, that's Manjiro Sano. So it's
Yes.
Manjiro Sano, aka Mikey, little
Yep.
dude, little
Like,
guy.
probably 5'6", like
Yeah,
a Bruce Lee kind of looking dude,
yeah,
I guess.
yeah.
Then you've got Ken Ryuguji,
Yeah.
who is kind of the enforcer, I
Which
guess.
is the typical thug look. He's
Yep,
he's
got
got
a dragon tattoo,
yeah, yeah.
and I mean, dude's got a Padawan braid and real tall blonde hair, kind of
And
lanky but badass.
nickname Draken. I mean,
Yep.
yeah,
I mean, honestly, from the legendary,
right.
the legendary band Draken, I thought that was kind of a cool little drag in. That was kind of cool. As well as you can see some, or you can hear some of the influences. You've got Hinata, which is the main female, well, not truly all the way through Naruto,
Hmm.
but is Naruto's wife
Yeah,
in
big part.
Naruto series. But yeah, big part of it. And then the younger brother is Naoto, and it's a little bit different. But I mean, how they said it, I was like, is that really Hinata and Naruto? I'm like,
Yeah, yeah, no
you
way.
know, it
Pretty
just
close. It's like
snaps.
playing homage.
Yes, and I mean that's awesome with me. So kind of what happens during this, you've got Takamichi Hanagaki, who
Right.
is basically your protagonist. He's your main guy, your the hero, if you will.
Hmm.
Then you've also got him 12 years ago, blonde hair, spiked, punk looking kid, middle schooler. I think they said what, like second
Yeah,
year, so
second year,
seventh
so that
grade.
would put him in the seventh grade. Finds himself back in time. And how? For example, let's kind of walk through the intro of episode one, where
Yep,
he's 20, I believe he's 22 or 24 years old. 20, I think
somewhere
it was
around there.
so it's 12 years, and
So he would have been 12 or 10. I think
he would
12.
have he would
So
have been 12 to 13. So that would make
yeah,
him about 22, 23. So
somewhere around there.
he's in the present life, which is 2020,
Yep,
and I think he works at a video store. He works at a video
yep.
store. Um, Shitty apartment.
Upset with himself, hates
Yeah,
himself.
yeah.
Dude's a virgin, never been kissed. Um, yeah, shitty apartment that he's just hating himself for. Like self-loathing, huge, huge factor. Self-loathing
It's
is.
almost like he was working at an FYE too. If you pay attention to the to the setting of the
I mean,
video store,
yeah.
and so he's going back home. He's at the train station. It's Japan. It's Tokyo. Trains are very common.
Yep,
Um, Finds himself standing in front of on the platform in front of the train tracks, and all of a sudden he finds himself on the floor,
falling.
on the ground, falling right before the train hits him, which you would believe he was killed right then and there, but
Hmm.
he just snapped back into 20 years in the past,
Yep.
just like that.
Which
Seventh
that
grade.
scene right there kind of reminded me of the Yu Yu Hakusho, because in the first episode of Yu Yu Hakusho, there's a kid running around to get his ball, and he doesn't pay attention that a speeding car is coming his way,
Mhm.
and Yusuke Urameshi jumps out to save this kid,
Mhm.
and he dies, and he gets brought back from the spirit world to be a spirit
Mhm.
detective. So
Mhm.
I was just like, dude, this is eerily kind of similar, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Very. I mean, and then 12 years in the past, immediately he pulls out a flip phone, looks at the date, and catches on. You know,
It's 12 years exactly.
right, if we were in that, if that was us, we would think, we died. This is
Hmm.
I'm in the passing world. I'm probably thinking about living through the most, I mean, maybe traumatic time of his life. That's what he really thought at the time. But as we walk through episode one, these kids were him and his friends were delinquents. So
Yeah.
in a way, they would look for fights.
Yep. They would look for fights, and usually it was either on slightly younger kids or slightly older kids or their own age. Like it's one of the three, because they're not going after the high school kids. They're going to get their ass beat, is what they're thinking.
Yeah.
They're not going after necessarily the high eighth grade years. They're going after some eighth grades, not high eighth grade, because they're like, dude, they're just going to mop the floor with us, and we can't go out like that.
Right.
So him
And
and his group is, yeah, they're trying to look for shit.
yeah, yeah. And as the episode proceeds, they end up in Shibuya Middle School to face
Hmm.
Shibuya second years, and surprisingly, they never showed up. It was almost like like they got set up, like they
Yeah.
got set up, and you just had these fourth years show up, which are
Yep. Yep.
freshmen, and it, I'm pretty sure you remember episode one.
Yeah.
They got pummeled.
They got torn up
They got
hard.
torn up. No chance.
No, no way,
That's the
shape, or
beginning
form.
of their torment for the
You
first
would
few
have
episodes.
sworn like these guys were in their 20s, smoking cigarettes,
That's
got weapons on them and all that.
And if you think
Uh,
about it, do you
yeah,
remember back being around that age and high school kids looking like adults with tattoos on them?
yep. Now they look
Grant,
like babies.
you're right. Isn't that crazy?
It is, because I mean, like I work by some colleges too, and I mean some of these college kids look seriously young, and it's not like we're like 50, 60 years old. We're in our early 30s, man.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy how that transition does actually happen in real
It
life.
really, yeah,
But yeah.
and it's unfolding in this anime that you're watching, and you're like, oh
Hmm.
snap,
And that's what kind
it
of
kind of,
grabs you.
and you gravitate towards it, and that's what I was gonna touch base to earlier. Is like anime tends to hit at home with
Yeah,
a lot of things, and
it
that's one
does.
of them. And that's one of them. You kind of like, it kind of makes you think. You know what, man? They did look like adults growing up
Hmm.
back then. Um, so they get their shit kicked in, and they end up being forced into the Tokyo Manji gang. And
As like slaves, basically, pretty much
right,
fight ring slaves.
dude, they were in an underground fight club, which is episode two, if you
Yep.
remember. That's when they show the underground fight club, and that's when your important characters get
Yep.
introduced to. Very important.
Yes.
Um, go
Because
ahead.
I mean, you've got his crew that comes in. He's got extra that he's just friends with in Shibuya. You've got the villain that gets introduced. You've got a lot of the different crew that some get replaced, some stay the same, and
Hmm.
it comes up later throughout the actual series on a few of them here and there, especially that one main villain, because he's got to essentially he's got to save many of them throughout this entire
Oh yeah,
series.
oh yeah, and
You know,
it's only because you kind of, in a way, you fall into liking with all of them, even the ones you're not supposed to like. You're like, man,
sometimes, yeah,
yeah, and it's just like, and they were introduced as, yes, they were kind of like the the evil ones, the villains. You got Mikey and you got Draken, and then as the episodes start progressing, start going by, they start showing a different side to them, and you're like, oh wow, they're not bad guys. They're bad guys, but they're not bad guys.
like they're bad, but bad as in like They just want to go fight, maybe destroy a little bit of public property, but like they're
They're
not
bad,
gonna
but there's
rape.
worse.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
like one big mainstay in the Tokyo Manji gang is they're not trying to rape nobody. They ain't trying to kill nobody.
right,
They're not trying to necessarily just take over the city and this is my kind of thing. Like they're
right,
trying to just kind of hang out with their friends and sometimes whip some ass.
right,
Like that's
right.
essentially what they're doing. To where some other gangs that come up are trying to kill. One of them did, do a gang rape to one of the girlfriends of
Oh yeah,
of
oh
a
yeah.
rival
And
gang member.
we'll get into detail with that later on in the next episode maybe.
Hey.
Um, there's a lot to talk about.
Mhm.
I want to talk about what kept me watching Tokyo
Okay. Yeah.
Revengers because this is. So do you remember the moment? This is after the fact that Takamichi already got his ass kicked once, but
Yep.
he needed to make a change. He was done getting his ass kicked. He was done with it. He was done with the same old, him crying, getting his ass kicked. So that's when he stood up and challenged Kiyomaso.
Yep.
Kiyomaso, the leader,
Which.
the guy with the scar, and really he was just not necessarily he wasn't a leader because you'll learn later on that there's division leaders
Way
and vice
higher.
captains way higher. So he was a total nobody in
Yeah.
the command chain. But
He was
here
just
he
feared.
was, here he was running underground fights. So
Mhm.
you got Takamichi that comes into this episode, calls him out, straight up calls him out in front of
Yep.
everyone. So that way, he's got no choice. He's got no choice but to fight this kid now.
And literally, like, there's some of them that are just, there's a lot of the guys that are just like, all right, let's watch a killing. Then this is
Yeah,
an execution, and his friends are just like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you're going up against him?
yeah,
Are you
yeah.
insane? And I
And,
mean,
and what you think of the outcome? He
dude, it's
he
crazy.
he beat him with endurance. You
Like
can
the
say that.
dude beats him by getting his ass whooped, but keeping going, and
Yeah.
he doesn't quit to the point that like basically this dude's got a baseball bat, and literally
Wants
it's
to
kind of
finish
a
him because he can't finish him with his bare hands.
yeah, and because he's realizing like okay, dude's taking a ton of
That
damage.
that's Kiyomaso
Yep,
beating on Takamichi.
beating the hell out of him, and it's just kind of a funny little thing that like you don't you don't think because okay, like you said, he comes to that realization. I'm done being a bitch. I'm done with this stuff. Like I might as well die. Like I don't like if I can't have her, who I'm trying to save,
Yeah.
Hinata, I can't be in my future without hating myself. Literally hating my life, hating my apartment, hating my job, hating my own past, having so many regrets. This early to mid 20-year-old is like, screw it. It's either do or die time, and I'm not wanting to die, so it's got to be do kind of
And
thing.
and don't get me wrong, he knew he can't fight. I mean, he knows.
Yeah,
He
I mean,
knows.
he knows he ain't Mike Tyson. He knows that he is
Yeah,
not going to be waylaying the
right.
shit out of people.
But there's and as like I said, as the season one moves along, progresses on, as you continue watching, you'll see that there's a lot more fight in him than what you think. And like I said, that moment where he calls out Kiyomasa coming down the staircase, he just calls him out in front of his whole crew. It's almost like
Yep,
it made your hair stand up on your arms type
dude.
moment. It really did. You're
Yeah.
just like, whoa. Not only that, but as he's getting his ass kicked, um, this is where we get the big introductory when you meet Manjiro Sano, when you meet Ken Ryuguchi, which is
Yep.
aka Draken. Um, and you think when you first see these two guys, you think it's the other way around. You think it's the president and the vice president, the
Yep.
big guy and the small guy. But no, it's actually
Yeah.
backwards.
Yeah.
Backwards.
You think like Ken or Kenny is
Yeah,
just like the top of the top of the top,
Draken.
but you find out, yeah, Draken. You find out though that like Mikey. is the top of the top of the top.
Mm-hmm.
And Mikey could probably whoop Draken's ass if he really chose to.
Oh yeah.
And it's
most definitely.
crazy. It's crazy on that because everything's not fully reversed. But, Mikey comes up and pretty much befriends Takamichi.
Yeah.
And
Do you remember what Draken does to Kiyomasu?
yeah,
He kicks the shit out of his stomach.
Yeah, he. Oh, I
Makes
think
him
it was
barf.
like a one
Makes
shot.
him barf. Yeah.
Done.
Makes him barf. Makes him kneel.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Oh yeah, because it's kind of like one of those things of you're really going to go ahead and when the boss is here, you're trying to impede on his territory, dude.
And keep in mind, we just got done watching the past 2 episodes.
Yep.
Kiyomasu being like
the big dude.
Supreme evil, yeah, and then he just gets bent the fuck over by Draken.
I mean,
great
like
introductory, and that's when Manjiro comes up to Takamichi, and it's crazy because he knew right away that this guy was built different.
Yep.
Because he had the cojones, he had the balls, knowing he's not gonna win. He's not gonna win the fight, but the fact that he's got
the
chops,
gumption.
Yeah, he's got the chops. Right, stand up for something that he believes in.
Mm-hmm.
That's what bought his way in. That's what got him in.
That was that meal ticket.
That's when you're hooked. After that episode, that's when you're hooked. Because where is this going? You're like, where is this going?
Because it's got so many different outcomes. Like, are they just going to make him, their own kind of fight club slave kind of thing, or is it really like, is this an earnest decision for him to be a friend, or are they going to teach him how to fight? Like, what is it? And exactly, you get hooked right.
Oh there. yeah, right away. I mean, because we're all, who doesn't love an underdog story? And this
For
is
real.
like a huge, not underdog story, underdog anime. It's like everything about it. Everything. Think about it. Underdog anime. It's got. We go back to. It's got no power ups. It's got no Super Saiyan. It's got no summoning jutsus. It's got no turning into Titan action. This thing is just hands.
Yeah.
And good storyline, good character building, and an underdog.
And just able, and I mean, don't get me wrong. Okay, it's not like he's able to go ahead and figure out like how to use the time jumping power to go ahead and just jump wherever he wants. He gets to jump into one place, wherever he is at that moment on that day 12 years ago.
And keep in mind, let's explain how his time travel works.
It's so strange and specific.
It is. So I'm going to pretty much kind of, not be too complicated about it. But when he does time travel, the only way he can is by touching Naoto.
Yep.
For some reason, there's a link with Naoto Tachibana where he touches him physically and he jumps back into time the same day on the calendar, but 12 years before. 12 years before. And when that happens, his body in the present time goes into like I would say like a standby mode, airplane mode.
Almost like a coma in a way. Almost.
Right. So if you noticed, when he came back the first time, Naoto Tachibana had him hooked up to IVs.
Yep.
Because he's in like he's pretty much like in what did he call it, man? It's pretty much his body's on standby while his conscience is in this past with his past body.
Yep. Because he remembers everything from his present day life, and he remembers everything from that 12 years ago before. Okay.
Now the only thing he doesn't remember or knows is what changes when he goes back
to that 12-year-old, 22-year-old, or 24-year-old life.
Right.
That edge right there, and then there'll be times when stuff happens to where he's like, oh yeah, this is and it'll be just little glimpses, but it's stuff that already has passed. And
it's almost like he's got a cheat code when he goes to the past.
Yeah, like a little Game Shark or something.
Right. because he's
But
kind of been there, done that. But since he keeps changing the past and going back to the future, when he jumps back to the past, when
something's different.
right,
Something.
oh yeah,
Little breadcrumbs. And then
yeah,
it kind of does the same thing in the future. When he's changed something in the past, like the first time he changed something huge, it was with Naruto. And basically, he saved his life in
oh
the
yeah,
future for that
yeah,
matter.
yeah, yeah. He explained to him when he was a kid, um, and this is a part where he finds out that he can time travel through
Yep.
Naruto, is when he explained to him about 12 years in the future, you're going to die. You're going to get killed. You need to do something. You need to change. Just
Yep.
change the course. And he sure did.
Yeah, and I mean, so his sister or Hinata is still on the same exact path through this entire series. The
For
same
some
exact path.
reason, it is, and we'll get there. We'll get there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but it just, there's one thing that he cannot change, and that's it. Her
Yep.
destiny.
That one thing. Yeah.
That one thing that he has a hard time, and we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Um, Another huge thing that you notice is um the the rivalry
Yeah.
with Valhalla, the rivalry with Mobius.
Yep.
The
Yep.
It's not just the Tokyo Manji gang.
Nope.
When there's one gang, there's other gangs. There's
Oh yeah.
many more gangs.
Because the inspiration floods and
Oh yeah,
either it dissipates off. I mean, you know, you've got real life gangs for that matter, or mafias, or all kinds of different stuff like that. And whether they are sects from that certain one gang, or whether they are just a rival that headbutted with that leader one day and was like, you know what, screw it, me, I'm getting some of my friends or some of the best fighters at my place, we're coming back and we're doing this thing, kind of thing. Like
yeah.
it happens.
What do you
Um,
think of the hype music soundtrack that they use, like in those scenes where those heightened scenes where like
mhm,
you're like, I'm getting goosebumps and that.
yep.
What do you think about the pretty dope music that they got going on in there?
I don't think just that it's good music. I think it's good timing and
Go,
good
oh,
scenery.
perfect
Because those
timing.
three things right there, man, just seal the
It's
deal.
like
Yep. And then,
the oh,
that stance, and it has the extra behind the stance and all that
oh
stuff
yeah.
to where he's looking up at, whether it's
It's
uh
Mikey giving a talk.
yep, or whether it's at the first official Manji Gang
Meet.
meeting that he goes to, and he's not even a part of this yet.
No, no.
He's just a little lackey friend that's just chilling with the leader.
That just happened, and that happened to, you know,
Fall in with him.
yeah, he rubbed off very well on him. He
Hmm.
likes him, and as episode three, which I believe it's episode three, where he goes to his school in the
Yep. Yep.
middle of class with
Yep.
Draken, goes to Takamichi, and his name is Takamichi,
Yep. Yep.
but he nicknamed him Takamichi, which I thought was the funniest shit ever.
I was
Thought it
just
was
like,
pretty funny.
okay.
It was pretty
You
catchy.
Yeah, honestly, it really is. And I mean,
Takamichi.
I think it kind of leans a little bit more of the English way of saying it for that matter, but at the same time it's kind of just off enough to
It
where
is.
it doesn't make fun of but doesn't necessarily like empower either, because
No.
like I'm
And
not
it
going to pay
catches and it
attention.
and it catches him off guard. He's like
Mhm.
Takamichi.
Like, hold
But
on.
but going back to that school episode, I thought that was another, like, there's just so many of these moments where you get goosebumps in your arms. I
Oh
do.
yeah.
I do
Oh
when I
yeah.
watch this. Where he pulls him out of his class, and everybody notices who's Takamichi with Mikey. Like, what's going on here? It's the
Like,
leader of the
oh, is he
Tokyo
gonna,
Manji gang, and that's Draken.
like,
You
are these
know?
dudes about to kill him or something?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. You
what's
just
going,
don't know. And that episode, something big happens. You have Hinata that comes along, and she thinks, from her point of view,
Mhm.
it's like this guy's getting forced into doing delinquent shit. But really, it wasn't like that, because Takamichi wanted to go along. At the end of the day, he wants to go along with it.
Yep.
Hinata, not knowing everything that's going on, walks up, bitch slaps Mikey
Uh
in
huh.
front of Draken. Bad. You
Yeah,
weren't
and
expecting that. Not
that.
expecting that at all.
Oh,
That right there, knowing how built up these guys are, like, whoa.
it's just like, okay, they're about to kill her. Oh my
Oh, it's
god.
done. Like you kind of thought right there. I was like, "Oh shit, Takamichi's gonna start crying, and next episodes are gonna be about him getting his ass kicked all over again." That's what you think. Like, "Oh, this shit's
Yeah.
ruined.
Oh
Shit's
yeah.
ruined." No, Draken. Obviously, Draken has a very bad reaction to this.
Yeah.
Very bad to the point where he grasps Hinata
Yep.
and is about to do something. But then you get Takamichi. Just here he comes again. Doesn't give a fuck.
That do or die attitude again.
Like like the two words you say before you do something you don't know what's gonna happen. Fuck it. He grabs Draken and threatens him to get his hands off of Hinata, like in a
Yep.
threatened demeanor. I think he said he would beat the shit out of him in a way,
I
right?
think so in a way,
Y-
yeah. I mean, he
Yeah,
didn't say,
he
that
said
hey, but
get
oh
your
man.
hands off of her, right?
Yeah.
And
And I
right
mean, right there he's earning respect.
as it goes, yes,
Hmm.
because of these things that he's doing that nobody else has the fucking balls to do.
Well, I mean, really the gumption to do because literally like everybody's so afraid because they know how these guys are
You
that they're
got
just
tough
like,
guys afraid of tougher guys, is what
"Oh
it
yeah.
is.
Oh yeah." And everybody's just like super terrified of that overhead kick from
Oh my god,
from
and
Mikey. The
aka
new
missile kits, missile
Yep.
kicks. It's like this shit is
Uh,
wicked, man.
it is. That's one of the like powers, I guess, because he's comes up and just
But
levels.
then again, anybody that's got because not everybody can throw a perfect punch and a perfect
No.
kick.
No.
You know, when people fight, if most of the times you're not putting your whole strength and power into it. This
Yep.
guy looks like he's done some shit with them legs.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
for
big
sure.
time. And like I said, and that's Mikey Manjiro Sano, the leader of the Tokyo Manji gang. That's who that is.
Yep.
Terrible, terrible kicks. You don't want to be kicked by him.
No, because
Not at
usually it's a
all.
one shot kill.
No, you're
Well, not
done.
kill, but knocked
You're
out. Good
yeah, yeah,
night.
man. Yeah, I mean, if he hits any harder, he might be dead too, man. I don't know how them.
Possible.
I don't know how them heads attached to the shoulders still after that. But man, that episode, you have another moment.
Yep.
Another big moment where he stands up again. But not only is he standing up to Kiyomasa, like I said, he's standing up to the prez and the vice prez,
Hmm.
and again in front of people.
Yep.
In
And they're
front of
just,
people.
they're even taken aback themselves because they're just like, he knows we could probably just kill him. He knows this,
Right.
but she's important to him enough to risk his entire being. Because if we whoop his ass, nobody's saying nothing. They're like, "Oh, yep, that's what we thought would happen."
Hmm.
But he stood up. He was like, "Nah, this ain't gonna happen. This is not what you do. You don't put your hands on the girl.
No.
She's not understanding of this situation. Back off. We can talk." You know what I mean? Like he's like, "Look, man, this isn't happening for shit." And yeah, so literally that happens, and they're just like, okay, kind of thing, like, cool, and Mikey messes with them by like, I don't know, he just messes with them, and I mean this happens all the time,
Oh yeah,
but he
yeah,
messes with him, like kind of like, I'm gonna kill you. You're really ready to die for her, and he's just
yeah.
like,
Yeah. Just kidding.
you know, he's like, okay, just kidding. It's like, what the fuck? What?
Yeah, yeah.
So much of this is hilarious and just it's got the
Oh,
right amount of comedy.
oh yeah. I was about to say it's got a lot of it, to be honest.
It does.
Like Draken's background, he lives in a brothel.
And no,
He was
not
raised
even
by
lives.
he was raised by mm, uh how would you say, massage therapists who are not massaging?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, by brothel ladies for that
Yeah,
matter, and I
yeah.
mean they're not. He doesn't necessarily know, or does he say he knows his mom?
No, he doesn't.
Okay,
Remember?
I was about to say I didn't
Yeah,
think he did,
she left him behind.
and
She left him
he's lived in
behind.
this brothel since he was like 5,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I think at the time he's like what 14
He got
or
that face
something like
tattoo
that.
in 5th grade. He was in
Yeah,
the 5th grade.
and this tattoo artist is like, "All right, are you sure you want a tattoo?" And he's like,
On your face?
"Yeah."
That's when you
And
know
it's
he's
like,
cut from a different cloth.
oh yeah, oh yeah. He's not a cheesecloth at all, man.
No,
This
he's
guy's nuts.
and that's just another guy that we can talk about for like a while as well.
Oh yeah.
Draken. Draken. You know, when it comes to the characters, man, Draken, Mikey, Takamichi, man, they're all awesome. They're all great.
All three of them,
Um,
and they have different things. Like Mikey and Draken kind of are the same,
but they're not.
but they definitely are different. And as the series progresses, you realize just how different they are.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, because the one episode I really thought was just at first confusing, but at the end of it hilarious was when Takamichi comes back to the past and there's a female that's just laying on top of him, blonde
Hmm.
female just on top
Hmm.
of him, and you're like, who the
Hmm.
what? Why are you
Hmm.
in here with
Hmm.
her?
Yeah.
Hinata's your girl. Like,
And that's Emma. For those of you that don't know, that's Emma. And for those of you that don't know, that's actually Mikey's sister, half
not
sister.
only that, but Draken's
Draken's
girl.
girl. Yeah.
And it's like, what? Because you don't find out that
And
she's Mikey's
no,
sister for like
you don't find towards the end. Almost towards the end.
episode 22 or
Yeah,
20 or something like
which is a
that.
few episodes away from the last episode.
Because, they're going on this little date, and everybody's like, oh my God, not again. We just got them to stop fighting each other.
Mikey
Now
and
Draken and Mikey are going
yeah,
to kill each
yeah,
other.
because Mikey's out with Emma.
And, you're thinking, oh God, they just got this,
That was one of the funniest episodes there.
Yeah,
That was
easily.
one of the funniest episodes there.
And like they're talking, him Hinata and all that are talking, and Hinata's like, I feel so bad for Draken, and Draken not knowing that just a few feet behind them, Draken is right there.
Yeah.
And Draken's like,
Feel
why would
bad?
you feel
Yeah.
bad for me? Like, why? And she's like, and Takamichi explains that, like, well, he's on a date
With
with
Emma.
Emma and cheating on you with Mikey, kind of thing. And it's such a hard time. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's her birthday. And they're like, how does this make that better? This makes
Right.
that
Right.
exponentially worse.
And not only
She should be
that,
with
but they were
you.
private about it.
Yeah, that too, And they're like, how the hell does this make it better? And he's like, because it's her brother. They're like,
You literally find out like way later. And that's like episode you're right, that's about episode 20, around
I
there.
was about to say somewhere
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
yeah, and it's just the evolving nature of this, because once they change something in the past, changes in the future, but also changes in the past. Weird conundrum with that. But not only that, you've got him kind of not caring for that matter, but caring enough to go to that point, basically.
Hmm. Hmm.
As well as, like, you've got all the other characters that change subtly throughout the
Oh
entire
yeah.
series.
And if you notice, he ends up the burden of wanting to save almost everyone. He
Yep.
literally he says it himself. He's gonna save everyone
Yep.
because you know. Um, let's fast forward a few episodes where he finds out that Draken might die or is supposed to die.
Yep.
He dies actually. He dies. He
He
dies
dies
in the
in
I believe it
chaos.
was the
Yes.
Halloween and the Shibuya train station. I believe was the Shibuya somewhere in Shibuya.
Yeah.
The Shibuya district is where they got down with I want to say it was
Valhalla?
Valhalla.
I think so, yeah.
Valhalla. because that's when we get to meet Hanma,
Yeah.
the guy
Yep.
that's got the tattoos on his fists, and
Yep.
that's a whole nother.
Man.
There's just so many guys that go over, man. There's just
Another
so
huge
many.
fighter,
Yeah,
and I mean, like, he's supposed to be like
Hanma,
on par with at least
and
Draken for that matter.
he's not even the president.
No,
No.
no, no.
So we
He's
find
a
out that
leader, but
right,
yeah,
we find out he's a leader, but we find out that that's the fight, that's the night where Draken dies.
yep, yep,
So not only you have Takamichi going back in time to save Hinata, he's going back in time to save Draken.
yep. Because at first it's Hinata and
Naoto.
Naruto, and he saves Naruto and all that, but he's still trying to figure out how to save Hinata. And then, yeah, he goes back and comes forward, goes back and comes back. And then all of a sudden, now you've got to save Draken because all this happens. And this was kind of, Draken was the moral compass essentially to
He
Mikey,
was. He was.
even though dude's a punk,
Big, huge moral compass.
dude's a punk. He's a delinquent. He's a fighter, but he has a line that he draws, and he does not go past that line. And if you do, well, if Mikey does, Draken's able to put him in his place and kind of bring him back down to the earth and be like, "Yo, man, we don't do this," because the
Isn't it
girl that
crazy? Isn't it crazy how the ones that go through the shittiest lives
are
coming
kind of
up
the
the
yeah
most like drawing the line,
morally
like
decent, yeah.
morally, like, hey, nah, we don't do that. You
Because
know?
the girl that got raped is in the hospital, and they come up to basically pay their respects to
Right,
her,
right.
but her parents end up coming to Draken and
I
Mikey.
remember this. This was a strong episode right there.
Oh, dude, this was
You
a
kind
strong
of,
moment.
this is where it might split your feelings too, because you're like,
Yeah.
well, man, he's fuck them. Those guys are talking. The parents are talking too much shit. Man,
Uh-huh.
they're too hard. Like, chill. You kind of think that way, but then at the same time, you kind of realize, man, their daughter got fucked up.
Like brutally
Yeah,
messed up.
yeah, like
Brutally.
fucking gang banged and all.
Yeah, and I mean, like,
And you're kind of like, you
yeah.
put yourself in their shoes, and you're like, oh fuck, well he's got a point.
And
He's got a point.
so during that whole part, he's talking a bunch of logic, but a
Shit.
bunch of shit
Yeah.
at the same time. Like, y'all are just punks, y'all are delinquents, y'all basically helped her get here,
Draken
essentially.
understands.
So Draken goes ahead and at the end of it bows,
He
and
bows.
in their culture, it's a respectful way. It's kind of saying I'm sorry, but in the deeper
Yeah.
meaning.
Yeah.
And Mikey's like, nah, fuck that.
No.
Like, why should we bow to you? You're talking shit
Yeah.
to us. We didn't
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah.
And
In a way,
Draken
he's
basically grabs him and forces him down.
not now. This is not the time, Mikey.
Yeah, he's like, look, man, this is the time to pay homage, pay respects, because we're
Just
not paying respects
take
to
an
him,
earful. Yeah.
paying respects to her. Like, she's in that bed, dude. We're gonna get somebody, but it's not this old man. He's not the one who needs to be gotten. It's those idiots out there who did this. So he's like, look, man, shut up, take this, and let's go. Kind of thing. Because the quicker he gets his mind out, the quicker we get the bounce. We've paid our respects and go whoop some ass or go plan it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That's where that moral compass was drawn.
Yep.
Where he drew
And
the line, and that's when we meet Mobius.
yes.
That's when we meet Osanai.
And you've
That's
got
when
oh
you
my
meet
God.
Paul and Pe.
Yep.
You
And
know?
I mean, like, some of these characters, you're like, who the fuck are these guys? Because they don't introduce until later on, about halfway through the
First,
series.
second division captains, vice captains to their divisions, with 20 guys under them. So the Tokyo Manji gang has pretty much 5 divisions, one through 5. Each division has 20 guys under them or more, and each division has its captain and its vice captain.
Mm-hmm. So
Paul being the captain and Pe being his vice captain, I believe was division 3 or 2.
I want to say 3. 3. Because Biji is 1.
Baji.
Baji is 1. and that's a pretty
Oh man,
brutal episode. That
that guy
entire,
is crazy. Baji's crazy, which we'll talk about him way later.
Baji's crazy. Paul is kind of crazier in a way, but
Do you
at
remember
the
the episode when he fought Osanai? Paul,
dude,
he got,
yeah.
and nobody was to step in at all. Nobody
No,
was to
because
interfere. This was
they
a
kind of
one-on-one.
they understood that respect level of this is his fight. That was his girl, or that's his girl. This is his fight. He's gonna handle it. He's got this. Don't do it. Let him get his. Because they're all like they're wanting him to get that respect. They're wanting him to go ahead and get that that payback, that revenge. You know, and God, dude, that stuff is just
Paul got his shit kicked in.
he
If
did.
you
He did.
remember, if
He
you
did.
remember, he passed out standing up.
Yep.
Passed out standing up. There was
Funny
no
enough.
giving up. There was no interference, but he passed out standing up.
And that's kind of one of those things to where it's a crazy little extra that they give into uh that whole mentality of the
Do
do
or
or
die.
die kind of
Do or
thing.
die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just and you kind of figure out in later on why Mikey's cool with Takamichi, because he's got that he looks for in his big guys, that the guys may not be Draken, but the guys that are directly underneath him and Draken, that's what he looks for, because those guys are the ones that's going to have his back through any and everything.
Hmm.
They believe what they
Hmm.
stand up for, and it is what it is. They're gonna die, or they're gonna come out like better for it, one of the two.
That
you know
the Toman lifestyle.
yep.
Toman.
Yep. Crazy on that kind of stuff. But I mean, so what part did you essentially get in with this anime to where it like grabbed you, and like you were just like, okay, dude, I can't let go of this. I need to see
So
what goes on.
it was the big moment where Takamichi calls out Kiyomaso. You had that one, and pretty much after that, to me, every episode ended with like, I've got to know what happens in the next episode.
That hook.
Every
Yep.
episode, there's no fillers. Keep in mind, there's no fillers.
No, that's another
Not a,
big thing.
that's
That's
a,
another big thing.
not a single filler. Everything is haymakers.
Plot
They're
driven.
all
Everything.
bangers. 1 through 28 or 27, I believe is the
Yeah.
last one.
I think
Um,
27, yeah.
27, right? 27. But man, there's so much to talk about, man, and I think we've covered at least the first, but the first
First half
quarter,
of it.
the first, nah, probably the first quarter, man. I don't think we've gotten half yet. We there's still a lot that happens after the first Mobius fight, and they take over
Oh
Mobius
yeah.
too. They take
Oh
over,
yeah.
and okay, so the way though, do you remember how it ended the fight with Paul?
Yes.
How
Got stabbed in the back.
Paul stabbed him and stabbed Osanai in the back while he wasn't looking, because
Yep.
it was Osanai versus Mikey, and guess what happened? He knocked him out with the head kick. He
Yep.
took over Mobius. He knocked out their leader in front of all of them and took over Mobius right then and there. And in that instance, while Osanai was getting up delirious, Paul was back to his senses, recently fresh. He got his ass kicked like
Mm-hmm.
a few minutes ago. So what does he do? He's not satisfied. He goes
Nope.
after his switchblade and just shanks him on the side, man.
Yep. And I
Everybody's
mean,
shocked. Not something that everybody's used to seeing.
yeah, because they're used to knowing Paw as kind of that headstrong dude, but not gonna go past that line. And when he
No.
does, they're just like, okay, damn.
And he actually takes the fall.
Yep.
He stays behind to take that fall, and that's when you start the your first kind of like
Introduction.
pretty much of the rest of the gang. Yeah, of the
Yep.
rest of the Tomon gang. Not only that, but then you have your friction between
Mikey and Draken for the
Draken.
first
Oh
time.
yeah, and you're like, oh shit, what?
Like, great, this whole thing's about to break apart.
Yeah, like once Takamichi's in there and he's good, he's all in there. He's part of
Because you're like,
Toman,
finally.
right? And then you got these two guys. You're like, oh shit, what's gonna happen now?
Because you think these are like, these guys aren't ever going to go ahead and like fight against each other like Vice and Prez. Like, it's simple as that. Like, they're not going against each other. And all of a sudden, that one thing, and the reason they go against each other for a minute is because Mikey thought it was wrong to let him just sit back and take that fall, even though he did it. But he thought it was wrong. To where Draken's like, no, he did it.
You respect his
So he
decision.
should, exactly. He should respect the decision he made to stay back and kind of take the fall. He is like, on top of that, like, he got everybody else out of there.
Yeah,
Like,
or
that's
else it's
another
gonna
big
bring
thing right there.
you know how it is. Somebody from a gang does something bad, and
Yep,
you don't catch them. It's gonna bring heat
on
on the
everybody.
whole. Yeah, on everybody. It's
Yep.
gonna bring heat on everyone.
And that's both sides of that. Not even just one or the other, but both sides of that, for that matter. Because they're going to be like, well, why are they into it with them? Why did he go to this length to go ahead and give that? What the hell happened? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, right here in this, I found a Tokyo Manji Gang kind of breakdown. So it's got Mikey as leader. Then it's got Draken, of course, as vice lead. Then division captains. So keep in mind, if I'm not mistaken, there are 6 divisions. So Baji is the first division leader. Second division leader is Takashi Mitsuya.
Yeah, me too.
Yep. Third division is Haruki Hayashida. Fourth division is Nahoya Kawata. Fifth division is Yashiro Muto. And then sixth division is Shuji Hanma.
Hanma, which that is something that happens after
Way later.
way later.
Yeah.
This is the halfway point, pretty much.
Yep.
So Hanma, remember, Hanma's the one that's in
Valhalla.
Valhalla,
Yep.
and the night that Draken is supposed to die, and he gets saved by Takamichi and his band of delinquents, his little homies. If you remember, they
Yeah.
showed up. They showed up when they needed them the most. They showed up. They showed up and helped. They got their ass kicked. They showed up and got their ass kicked, but bought enough time.
To actually be there with him and kind of like,
Uh,
get
Detour.
him on.
Yeah. Well, they were actually trying to straight up kill Draken. Actually,
Yeah.
if you remember, they stood in their way. Valhalla
And,
was trying to take out Draken.
so I wanted to. So we get introduced to Valhalla in kind of a brutal way because, you know, Mikey gets or Takamichi gets checked out of school again in a very
Mhm.
strange way,
Mhm.
you know, and he's basically like, okay, let's go to this other rival gang, and he's like, okay, I guess. And he's wondering why, like, what's going to happen? Am I going to get killed during this whole thing? I know this guy can whip my ass, so I might as well go with him because, yeah.
Oh, that
And
he gets checked out by Valhalla.
yeah. So it's just like, okay, what's going on here? He
That's when
gets
you
led.
meet Kazuturo, man.
Yeah. Oh my God. So yeah,
That's another
Kazutoro,
huge name.
man. And I mean, it even becomes deeper of a name later on.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
oh yeah.
Oh, too dark. Remember,
Very
it
dark.
involves Mikey's brother.
Yeah, very dark. I mean, and
The
you find
outcome was
out.
very dark. The
Yeah,
the the circumstance behind how everything unfolded, the odds that it was his, what unfolded, it's just all crazy, which we'll probably have to get into the next airing that we do on this, because there's no way we're
yeah.
gonna finish this today. No way.
um, hey, so literally he gets checked out and he gets dragged to the gang's hideout, or one of them at least, and so he goes with him, and
Keep in
Pretty
mind, this
much.
is Takamichi
Yep.
being asked to accompany Valhalla to their
Yeah.
hideout.
And it's not even on dragging him, but he's just like, I know this dude can beat me. So
In a
okay,
way, it's another one of his decisions that were fuck it.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So he goes and he gets into this like kind of another fight club kind of thing. There's some big fight going down. And he goes up into the area where the fight's happening and he kind of gets front row seats to it.
And
And
it's
Baji is just beating the
of
ever
Chifuyu,
living
right?
hell. Yeah, Chifu. Beating the ever
Which is
living
his homie,
hell.
and
Well,
which is
not
his
only
vice
was
captain.
exactly he was Division One's vice captain, and like one kid that Baji was just like, this is my guy, like enough to go ahead and get in that vice captain role. So if he's um if he's actually going about like putting his neck out there for him to Mikey and Draken, something was like this kid meant something to him. Like Baji didn't just be like, oh, okay, this guy. Chifu meant something to him,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
for him to be beating the holy hell out of him, they're doing a lot. You know.
All this was him showing that his defection, he defected from Toman. Remember, he switched
Yep.
sides, and that's the whole reason why that took place is because he was switching sides and he was showing how determined he was to be in Valhalla.
Yep. Um. Simply just because, like, he knew like he had to do kind of a big serious
Right.
meltdown
This is
to get it.
because this is no. Yeah, I'll join you guys because I mean, come on, double agent. What are the odds?
Yep.
Show me that you're down to leave them.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, show me how strongly you are about it.
Hmm.
He's like, because I'm not gonna go ahead and take in one of you Tokyo Manji gang. He's like, it's all good for that. I'm cool. But I mean, there's a ton of stuff that goes on. So, okay, with that, what would you say are like your favorite characters in this entire aspect of this, or in the entire series?
Man,
Because I mean, there's a lot of them. There are. Um,
that's a good way to end the broadcast. My favorite
well, I was wanting to
characters.
do two different things. Favorite character is the first one.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I would have to say, for sure, I'm gonna just say Takamichi. I've always been, you know, he's gonna be one, and two and three, it's gonna be Draken and it's gonna be Mikey. I don't know, it's in that order.
Oh no.
It,
Oh
it can
yeah.
be switched. It can be switched up, and
Yep.
then after that, I really, really, actually, I really liked Baji a lot too, man. He had
Baji was a
hands.
badass. Baji was a badass.
He had
Um,
hands.
if I had to pick three, at least, I'm going Takamichi number one. I mean, he's the main character. You get
Yeah,
drawn into him. It's like
yeah.
not liking Goku for Dragon Ball.
You.
You
I
know,
hated him in the beginning, and then I liked him.
he was a little annoying in the beginning with that
Yeah.
whole crying thing, but you get used to it, and it's kind of like okay. Number two, I'm gonna probably take and go with Chifu.
Chifuyu.
Ichifuyu, yeah, he showed a ton of resilience as well as commitment. Whether to friends, whether to the gang, whether to call it what you want, say what you want about the guy, but you can't question his loyalty to his friends
To
nor to his
Toman.
gang. Yeah, because I mean, dude was all over it. He was willing to basically get beat down and pretty much die for it, literally.
He could have joined Valhalla right then and there afterwards, but he
Oh yeah,
didn't.
and he
He
was just
didn't.
like, "Nah, these are I'm with my guys."
Toman. Toman
You
for
know,
life.
yeah. And then honestly, my third is going to be kind of a harder one, just because like you've got you've got
There's a lot, man. We'll
there
get to
is
the other guys
there
later.
is um you know, but I would probably have to say Draken, Honestly,
Yeah.
Draken to me is a very well drawn and very well felt character for that matter. Because you've got the rough side of him that is shown to almost everybody, and then you've got the softer side of him that's shown to a handful, if not less, for that matter. Uh, and I mean, we haven't even necessarily talked about Takamichi's gang for that matter, his gang of friends. We haven't even talked about them.
No, no.
You know, so okay, what would say? Okay, this is kind of an impromptu thing. We always do. I don't know how long or if you've watched a ton of other episodes. We always do a top 5 kind of deal. So, what would be your top 5 episodes from Tokyo Revengers?
I think we're gonna save that for the next episode.
Yeah, because
Oh,
because we have to include in order to have my top 5, there's some episodes
we
towards
have
the
to end
end.
it.
Yeah, we have to include. I can't include them in my top 5 if we haven't touched base on them.
So, okay,
Yeah.
we'll finish out the top 5 with characters then. How about 2 more characters from myself and from you?
Man, so the other 2 I would have to choose. Man, there is a few more that are there. Um, Kazutoro.
Yeah.
There's a reason why. There's a reason
Oh,
why,
yeah.
and I can't say it because it's a big spoiler.
Not
It's
just
a
yet, but yeah.
yeah, it's a huge spoiler. But Kazutoro, and Akun,
Oh,
which is the
yeah.
redhead.
Man, yeah, and see, that's another one I'm gonna have to go with is Akun as my number 4, and my number 5 is Hinata. And number 4, I mean, I know you know the reasons for that. Number 4 is a very complex character, and at first he's just kind of a side slash background character that doesn't really get much on his name. But in the later, you realize he's a huge player in this, or a huge factor, not player, but a huge factor in this entire
Oh,
series.
we haven't
You know what I
even
mean?
mentioned them.
Yeah, I know.
You
And
talking
that's what
about
I'm just
Teta
like,
Kisaki?
yeah. But number 5, I'm gonna say Hinata for that matter.
Not the
But yeah, Kitsuki is, oh my god.
Kisaki, Teta
Kisaki,
Kisaki.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man, that's
Oh my god.
so. That's the only. We'll have to touch base on that, man,
Oh yeah,
later.
but Hinata is, she kind of embodies that do or die as well because even not really
Rubs
knowing
off.
Draken or Mikey, yeah, it does. Not really knowing Draken or Mikey, she goes straight up to him and slaps the hell out of Mikey and is just like, "You need to let him go. I don't know what you're doing to him, but you need to let him go. He's not in all this. Are you the ones going ahead and making him fight to where he's coming home or coming over with bruises and stuff? Like, what's wrong with y'all?" So I mean,
Yeah.
she's standing and she tells Takamichi straight up, like, you're kind of the girl in the relationship, bro. I'm sticking up for you.
Yep.
Like, I understand, like, you want to be a badass, but you're not. I am.
Uh-huh.
I'm sticking up for you. you know.
That's yeah. That's a good top 5 to round it off with.
So I mean, that would be my top 5 right there, man.
Hell
A
yeah.
lot of different things, a lot of different character complexities in all of these, and I love how they, introductions are introductions. They build up to that, like you said, number 3, number 4, and then from then on, it's kind of just going. And it's like once he got that green light for a few more episodes, he was just like, hell yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and complex everything on this story. Um, but it's crazy. It's a good anime. If you haven't seen it, I wish you would just go and check it out. Give yourself
You
that
have to.
satisfaction
You just have to.
for sure, and give
Have
it give
to.
it 5 episodes.
Even if you're not into this type of stuff, it doesn't have that, like I said, big
Yeah,
power up sci-fi type overpowered stuff.
yeah. I mean, it's
So
good.
so next Thursday, you guys are gonna finish this off. September the 8th, Tokyo Revengers Part 2. You guys will finish off the series. Um, the Thursday after that, you guys will get into, or we'll get into Akira September the 15th. And then September the 22nd, we're going to go and check out Dragon Ball Super. Right, that's Ed's
Yeah,
pick.
yeah. The superhero movie, the
Um,
new
Oh yeah.
one. Yeah,
But as
Dude.
far as we'll leave star rating for you guys to decide next week. You guys will give a star rating on this series. Monday, for those of you that follow us every single week, Monday is episode 209. It's the 4-year anniversary of this podcast, of this show.
Dope.
We will have a
Too
special
dope.
top 5. I was going to have a
Dope.
director from Australia join us, but he's going to join us on September the 12th. So that's going to be September the 12th. But yeah, you guys killed it. This first episode of this bonus series, Tokyo Revengers, is in the books. Join us Monday for Philadelphia, September the 5th, 6 p.m. Monday for episode 209. Ernie, Edward, do you guys have anything you want to shout out before we get out of here?
Tomon, baby.
Man, go watch this. I mean, honestly, it's one of the better ones. Go watch it so you can keep up with us on the next episode.
Just shock and awe. Just watch. Just be shock and awe.
Oh, yeah. Complete shock and awe, as well as just complexity and story, for that matter. So, yeah, basically the last thing I've got is this is Ed saying I'll see you on the silver screen.
Don't forget, Ernie, again, thank you for joining us, and thanks for becoming an extended part of this family. We'll definitely talk to you next week.
What does Cactus Jack say?
Bang, bang.
There you go.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you next week and Monday on a new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.
Bang, bang.